Welcome to the Insulin Suppression Podcast, where it's all about going from hopeless to healed with certainty, right action, and science. Here are your hosts, Barbara and Charlie McDermott.
We in our Shift community, we are a bunch of seekers. We're very diverse. We all have different health goals. We all come from different health circumstances, different ages, walks of life, philosophies of life. But the one thing we have in common is that we are committed to at least lessening one of the overwhelms of life. I have read this before, and maybe you'll agree with me, that one of the greatest stressors of life is uncertainty. Think about it. If we're uncertain where our next paycheck is coming from, if we're uncertain if a relationship will reconcile, if we're uncertain that our health, crikey, that's my cuss word, crikey, if our health, crikey, so I'm trying to use positive words, but big lousy crikey, right? If that's going to resolve or soften at least. I'm in my black today because we're in the month of October and Halloween is coming up. And again, the things that instill the greatest fear are just not knowing, right? That's what happens when you walk through a haunted house, right? The hallways are dark. We hear lots of voices or frightful sounds, right? That's how I felt walking through the damn supermarket, being bombarded by messages from product packaging, from people's advice, directives from the medical community, all the magazines and newsstands that tell you all the different ways to reconcile your lousy. Talk about overwhelming and being uncertain, and certainly being in the black, being in the dark. So, today, we're going to just spend some time together, not too much, and understand the simplified, streamlined, what the nuts and bolts of this whole concept of keto. Keto, well, just be in the know, and then you'll understand why this, we can call it a diet trend or a craze, because you see it everywhere. Why is it so popular? Why is it gaining traction and momentum? Well, on our last podcast, we talked about the concept of when people are trying to lose weight, maybe their doctor says, you can reverse your diabetes, just lose some weight. You can beat cancer, just watch what you eat. Okay? You can resolve fibromyalgia, just get some more exercise. Well, all of these ideas fall under losing weight. But we learned last episode that no one loses weight. Right? No one can lose energy. Energy is not created, not destroyed, it's only changed. And any weight we're carrying any weight that we're carrying, it's stored energy. So we don't ever lose our weight, we use. We use our body fat, use our weight. And that's the same as losing weight. But it's important to see it from the science perspective because it takes the character flaw out. It takes the blame and shame out. Takes that whole game of chasing your tail, right? And we learned in the last episode, last podcast, last webinar here, that to use our body fat, there's one variable that has to be in place. Do you remember what it is? It's the I in shift. That's what the I in the word shift stands for. I just lost my pen. Here it is. Talk about uncertainty, right? We have to make sure that this hormone, the amount of it is less. You see, because when insulin levels, the level of the amount of insulin circulating in my body, your body, my daughter's body, all of our shifters' bodies, if that amount of insulin is elevated or higher than optimal, we are locked. We have a disability. We can't use our body fat because our fat stores are in lockdown. Because insulin's purpose is to sweep our bloodstream of sugar. Sugar that came from every carbohydrate that we ate. Sugar that came from some of the protein that we ate. Interesting that sugar in our blood doesn't come from any of the fat that we eat. So, When insulin levels are up, fat stores are locked. When insulin levels are low, fat storage is a go. Fat burning is a go. Fat loss is a go. We can lose weight because we can use our body fat weight when insulin levels are down. Isn't that a game changer? That was a game changer for us. We thought we had to exercise our way out of it. We thought we had to portion control our way out of it. When I say it was weight gain, bloat, and water retention. It was incessant food cravings. It was type 1 diabetes that was beating down our daughter. It was losing the zest for life, enthusiasm out the window. So when I speak about our it, that was our it. Okay? But when we realized it was insulin, shigamunga, okay, and another curse word. So the very thing that our daughter was putting into her body as a type 1 diabetic was actually the reason she couldn't lose weight. Now, here's the important thing, everybody, right? Insulin's a non-negotiable. We all must have insulin circulating at all times. It just keeps, it's really almost like a ballast for our ship. It keeps our blood sugar from getting to be too high. It opens up the cells of our body and allows the sugar in to be used for energy. Okay? But when more insulin has to be present because of the way we're eating, because of our lifestyle, we'll never get out of our lousy. A kind gentleman asked a question on our public page recently. We talked about insulin, I guess, and he put a question, well, how the heck, if I have to use insulin, because I'm on insulin for my condition, how am I ever supposed to lose weight? That's where we were. That's the exact question I was saying for my daughter. How the heck is she going to be able to lose body fat if she's always using insulin and she has to use insulin? Well, the trick is not to not use insulin, but as my friend Jeff Marston, who is one of our super power shifters, reminded me the other day, it's just about less insulin. Less insulin, less insulin. And I say it 3 times because that's the way he said it. And he's using less insulin, less insulin, less insulin every day. And he has less body weight, less bloat, less pain every day. But you have to know how to eat and live in such a way that you can manage that. We can all manage insulin. We just have to know how to do it. But this talk today is about the keto craze. Why is keto working? Why has it become a trend? Why do I see so many platforms about it? Well, the interesting thing is that when insulin levels are low, what's my rhyme? When insulin is low, fat burning is a go. Yay, right? And when fat burning is happening inside our body, the science word for fat burning is so. If I am burning fat presently, and I bet you I am right now because I know the way I eat and the way I live, if I'm burning fat, I'm in ketosis. Do you see why keto works for people? They figured it out somehow. Or they're following just enough of the information that they're getting results. They might not know exactly why it's working, but hey, it's working and that's good, right? Any degree of good is great. But for today, understanding, be in the know about keto. So keto, the diet that we're hearing out in the world, is based upon the science of ketosis. Ketosis occurs when insulin levels are low, connecting the dots, right? So, when we think of ketosis and the ability to burn fat, now we use another word, the way of eating, a diet. You know, that's another thing. In our world, the word fat means so many things. The word diet means so many things, right? That's in itself, this whole topic is so confusing because there's so many overlapping uses and meanings for words. And that's what we do in Shift. We cut through all that clutter. So the diet, or the way of eating, that leads us to ketosis, right, which is insulin down, is ketogenic. So you've heard, this is keto, oh, that cracker is ketogenic, that meal is keto, I'm doing keto, oh, she's doing keto, he's doing keto. I'm waiting for some songwriter to come out with a keto song, right, yo? Well, the reason keto means fat burning is a go, as you know, insulin down, ketosis happens, but we can actually trigger all of that by eating ketogenically. Okay? Now, let's give props where they're due. There are families and individuals with uncontrollable epilepsy. Imagine a life of seizures. Imagine a life of seizures. I had epilepsy as a young person. I don't have it, well, I shouldn't say I don't have it now. I don't necessarily, doesn't impact me any longer. Children, grown-ups with uncontrolled epilepsy will use a ketogenic way of eating to help manage, to insulate the brain, so to speak, to calm it, to make the epileptic burden less. Many families use a ketogenic approach to eating to soften or create the best possible outcome for those of us diagnosed with autism on that spectrum. Okay, there's all different degrees of everything. There's different degrees of cancer. There's different degrees of fibromyalgia. There's different degrees of heart disease. There's different degrees of diabetes. Right? All of these can be significantly improved. Type 1 diabetes, my daughter. If we eat ketogenic focused. See, in Shift Insiders in our community, we teach all of the details of ketosis through insulin suppression, so you're smarter. You know what you're doing, right? And eating keto focused doesn't mean we're always eating keto, or our crackers have to be keto, or this Thanksgiving dinner has to be a keto dinner. You understand how to move into ketosis at will. It's like wielding a power that you didn't know you had. Because who would really know about insulin except for those of us in the world who are actually living with it every day, like dosing it and calculating it and owning it, right? And that's what we share now. So we can eat ketogenic focused. What does that mean? Well, earlier, just a few moments ago, I shared with you that insulin is going to go up with every carbohydrate we eat, even if it's a low glycemic carbohydrate, even if it's our organic carbohydrate, even if it's pure and whole and ancient and even blessed by a higher power. If it's a carbohydrate, it requires insulin for our body to be able to use it, okay? Protein, some of the protein we consume will also contribute to an insulin rise. What doesn't contribute to an insulin rise, which becomes the foundation for a ketogenic way of eating, is fat. This is why you see on the different groups on the internet and friends and magazines eat keto, and they show avocado. That's a very fat, heavy fruit. It's actually a drupe. It has a nut in the center, right? So avocados are fat focused. Butter is fat focused. Eggs are fat and protein focused. But what you're seeing is there's not carbohydrate. Avocado is carbohydrate, but less. So it's not about eating. Everyone thinks, oh, it's a high-fat diet. Well, compared to the amount of carbohydrate that person is eating, it does look like a high-fat diet. But we find out that the amount of fat we end up eating is probably even less than most others. It's just high relative to the carbohydrate intake. And it doesn't mean we don't enjoy our desserts. And it doesn't mean we don't enjoy our family feedings and our, all the different things that pull us together as families and communities with food. We just know how to do it. So when you see keto in the know for you, what you're thinking now is that, oh, that's all about eating more fat focused with less carbohydrate so my body can go into ketosis, which means my insulin levels are down. These two go together. I mean, literally, these two are one and the same. When insulin is low, ketosis is a go. Again, I say that word. Now let's think about this. We can actually get to ketosis a couple different ways, right? How else can I bring my insulin levels down? Well, I could just not eat. I could just starve, or I could just fast. Fasting's a great thing when it happens naturally. When you eat fat-focused, ketogenic focused, you become full and sated, and you are off the blood sugar roller coaster of cravings, incessant food demons, right? That just becomes a thing of the past, and you're just not hungry for longer stretches of time. It's a beautiful freedom. That's what we call it, food freedom. It used to be food fisticuffs. Now it's food freedom. Okay? Because eating keto-minded, focused, just makes us not hungry. So we naturally don't eat. So we fall into ketosis by eating ketogenically, and fasting can also keep us there longer. Because the periods of time when our insulin is down, that's when fat burning is happening. It's between the times that we're not eating. Okay? So, the ketogenic focused way of eating gets us to ketosis by, scratch that. We can get to ketosis by not eating, which can be hard and uncomfortable and makes us angry, and we run out of willpower because it's a finite resource and your body will demand it. It's a chemical induced urge. Just like adrenaline and dopamine and endorphins, it makes you react. And when blood sugar's down, when blood sugar is spiking and then dropping and spiking and dropping with the help of insulin, you get trapped in that constantly needing to graze, constantly needing to grab for something. So eating keto-focused can get us to ketosis pleasantly. Again, we can just not eat, or we can eat in such a way that we end up not eating, or we can eat so keto-focused that even when I am enjoying some food or a beverage that's fat-focused, I won't knock myself out of ketosis because I didn't raise insulin. You see, when insulin is low, fat burning, this is what we all want to do. Even us slim folks, and even slim folks want to be fat burners because sugar burning is oxidative. Those of us who are primarily sugar burners age faster because we have a lot of oxidative damage from free radicals that are produced from burning sugar. The beautiful thing is when we're burning fatty acids, the only byproduct is ketones. And ketones are energy particles that our brain loves to operate on, and so does the rest of our body. But tell me, what is the one kind of cell that doesn't or can't use ketones from fatty acids for fuel? What is it? You know by now, don't you? These cells. Cancer cells can't. Okay? So the reason there's a keto craze out there is because when people eat keto-focused, more fat than protein, more fat and protein combined than carbohydrate, they naturally go right into fat burning. They lose weight because they're able to use their weight because insulin levels are low, right? So if you find any of this resonates, it's interesting, you're a seeker, you want to learn more, you don't want to be afraid anymore, you want to erase uncertainty to the best of your ability, I highly encourage you to come into our fold. Our website is www.theshiftformula.com. And I'll look for you inside. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope that you are a little bit more in the know when it comes to keto. Okay, see you next time.